Hello everybody, welcome back to Gotta Get Running. It is good to see you again, and I will definitely try to talk a little bit quieter this time. That's obviously a little bit loud. But marathon season has kind of come and gone, and we're like getting ready for the winter season. It doesn't mean you need to stop running or anything. We encourage everybody here on the show to keep running, and there's a lot of good reasons to keep running. There's some spring marathons to start training for now. You have about 4 months to get ready for those. It's a good time to get like a new pair of Christmas running shoes and like get out there. The weather here in Washington, D.C. has been absolutely perfect. It's been absolutely awesome running weather, but we're going to talk. We have a special guest here in the studio again, who is going to be racing again here in about 3 more weeks. But first, let me introduce Chris Farley. Chris, it's good to see you again. First time since Philly here.
Yeah, we had a great time in Philly.
We did, and I actually have a special responsibility here I have to do for you. I have your official finisher's medal from the Philadelphia Marathon here that I need to present to you. And hopefully it doesn't mess up your audio at all. You can wear that with great pride for your
thank you.
impressive run up there.
Leave this in the hotel. Phil and I stayed in the hotel together, and
that's covering up your audio.
I think I left.
Best time of your life.
It was. Well, we had a good time.
Let's just take that
we
off
had a good time a couple nights before. We were hanging out in a bar and drinking a couple beers and met some really friendly nurses and had a really good time. But we didn't run as well as we'd like to have. But
I'm starting to think that I should have stopped off at that aid station to get like resuscitated like around mile 22 when I was like starting to hurt there. But it does happen. We also have Mike Wardian back in the house. Mike, it's great to see you again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Last time we had you in here was summertime, and you just finished running Badwater, and coming back from 120-degree temperatures there.
Yes.
And now it's not 20 degree, quite 100-degree temperature swing now. I mean, it's winter time, but we've had pretty mild weather here, and you're training. You're always in training, actually. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I've been training a lot, trying to get ready for the trials, Olympic trials for the men's marathon coming up January 14th, and I'm looking forward to going down to Houston and seeing what happens.
Yeah, this guy, I mean, Mike and I run together. Not enough, but we do run together, and his range is absolutely amazing. I know a lot of what you talked about last time when we had him on the show was his ultras and his performance at Badwater and other races like that he does. But the guy has got more range than anybody in the country when he does those ultras and then runs really fast in the marathon. So he's going to line up against the country's best and with a chance to go to the Olympics. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, that's really exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, that was a big goal this year, and I was able to knock a couple minutes off my PR personal best or personal record at the Grandma's Marathon a couple weeks after doing some longer ultra racing, and I'm trying to get that speed back after a bunch of longer races this fall, and I've got like 3 weeks to go from running like really hard steep trail racing and running some of these longer events to trying to get that turnover back to be able to mix it up with guys as fast as Galen Rupp and who's just like insanely fast, and Ryan Hall and 3 guys get to go, and they don't really care who you are, and so anybody that's on the line has a chance, and you might as well just go and give it a good shot and see what happens.
When he talks about speed work, he's talking about training for a marathon, because your ultra running is, I guess, your longer distance stuff, and you do races upwards of, what's the longest race you've done?
Longest race I've ever done at one time is 135 miles this summer, the Badwater Ultra Marathon, and then so like I guess shorter distances for me is like marathon and below. So trying to get like that kind of really fast like 5K, 10K speed, and then hopefully have enough base from the longer stuff that I can carry the faster pace through to the end.
So you're lining up with the country's best January 14th. Is that, I mean, obviously that was a big goal for you. This is your 3rd Olympic trials in a row, which you really should be commended, because we were trying to go through the list, and maybe Clint Veran and Josh Cox, but you're an elite company there. So is this what's a prouder achievement for you, running one of like something like a Badwater or making the Olympic trials?
I think they're just different. I think the Olympic trials is it's an opportunity to represent your country, and I think that's always something that I strive to do, and I've been able to do in some of like the 100K worlds, 50K worlds, and there's nothing better than putting on a USA singlet and lining up and trying to take it to the French or the Italians or the Russians or Japanese, and doing it for your country. And so to be able to do that on a stage as epic as the Olympics would just be amazing. And so, that's just one of those things that it just gives me chills to even think about it. And the cool thing is it doesn't matter. Like, a lot of countries, they take their top guys, and there's no real trials. They just take the guys they think are going to run the best, and even if they're not fit or they're not ready, or they've had a bad year, or whatever. In the U.S., it's really American. You all go to the same place. You all have a standard time that you have to run, and then the first 3 guys across the line get to go.
And London.
Do you know if that's how other countries like Kenya or Ethiopia?
It's different.
No, it's different. Yeah. No, every country has their own rules. I mean, some countries, I know, like Costa Rica and stuff, they don't even have a race. One of my roommates at the Boston Marathon one year was trying to make the Costa Rican Olympic team, and so he had to run under 2 hours and 16 minutes at the Boston Marathon to make the Costa Rican Olympic team. So it's like, we're pretty lucky to be in a position that have so many good guys
and compete for it,
but to do it in a really equal opportunity. I mean, everyone has a chance. I mean, in Kenya, if you ran 2:06, you're not making the team. You're just.
Yeah, they're running 2:03s now.
Yeah, exactly. You're just not.
So let's talk about the greatest stage. The greatest stage is going to be unveiled there down in Houston on January 14th. We figured that out now.
Saturday. It's the same date for the men and the women, which is going to be really
amazing
cool.
Day.
Yeah. I think that's going to be something really unique, because usually the women's and men's trials are at separate locations and at different times of the year. And so on January 14th, around 3 o'clock, probably Central Time, we'll know the 6 people representing the U.S. in the Olympics.
And that's pretty awesome. What do you know about the venue? Have you run in Houston before? Do you know anything about the route?
I know it's been changed a couple times, and I know it's got some people that aren't super excited about it. I think it's like a 2 or 4 mile loop, and then I think it's a 2 mile loop, and then 2.2 mile loop, and then you go into an 8-ish mile loop 3 times.
So it's spectator oriented, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's very spectator friendly, and
they kind of did that in New York a couple years ago too.
They did that in New York, and they didn't really do that for Boston. They didn't really change it for that much for Boston.
So it could be,
but a little bit.
It could be hot weather or cold weather. Is there one that you think favors your running style more than the other?
I think as worse as it can be for everyone else. Like, if it was like 150 degrees, I would love that.
Especially I would just run 135 miles.
That would be fantastic.
That water, right?
Yeah, or like epically windy or something. Like as tragically terrible for the weather, that would be fantastic for me, because I ran the Kauai Marathon this year, and like 90-degree weather with 90% humidity, and I still ran pretty fast, and I've run a lot of really challenging events, and so I think that would lead some experience. Some of the other guys might not have that kind of experience to draw from.
Kind of like Beijing 4 years ago in that heat too.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the negatives about our system is that you've got to be ready. It's a positive and a negative. You've got to be ready that day. So how's your training been going as we lead up to that? Now 3 weeks out. Recording.
Yeah, that's a good question. We're like 23 days or so out, and I was just saying, I've had a little bit of illness, which is unusual for me. So, we're dealing with some issues with our son, and that's causing us to, basically revert back to like when he was a newborn. So we're up every couple hours checking on him, making sure everything's okay. And so, all that stuff plays into it. But, everyone's got issues,
Right.
And you just got to deal with them. And
you're not big on excuses.
No,
you
exactly.
Never have been,
Exactly. So, I'm trying to get the miles in. I'm still, riding my bike, trying to get, extra training in. And then, I'm trying to, do things a little differently, just, trying to do some really steep climbs just to build a lot of strength without putting a lot of strain on the legs. And then, hopefully I can run some really fast, track workouts. I've been able to get a couple in, but, I think I'm going to be spending a lot of time at the track, maybe going to some meets and stuff, just trying to get my legs turning over. And, I think I got to run around 5-minute pace for as long as I can. And, that's what I got to do if I want a chance to be in the mix.
So he is a legendary figure in this. And people, you're really kind of an anomaly with a lot of what traditional runners would think their path would be to get to the Olympic trials.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I mean, if you read message boards that talk about this guy all the time, it's like he's like this magical, legendary figure,
or like a prodigal son.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, you don't read this stuff, but I'm sure. But
no, my mother-in-law reads it,
yeah,
so I definitely get it vicariously,
but
for sure.
It just sounds like you train hard. That's the secret.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the secret. Anyone that's at the level that a lot of these guys are at is, I mean, you got to do the work. I mean, that's the thing about running is like, there's no one else there to bail you out. Like if you have a bad game, it's not like a football game where you can go and lean on somebody else. I mean, it's you versus the clock, and you got to get out there and you got to do it yourself. So, if you're not doing the work, it's going to show. So.
Right, and you're definitely taking a non-traditional path. So tell us about a typical day. You got a wife, 2 kids, full-time job.
Yeah.
Tell me about a typical training day. You said you do some biking and other other things other than running as well.
Yeah. I wake up pretty early. Between 4:45 and 5:30 or so. Now we wake up and give my son some medicine around 4:20. So some days I just don't go back to bed. Mm-hmm. Get on the treadmill. This morning I ran like 3,000 feet of vertical.
Wow.
And then we had a Christmas pageant today, but normally I would run again at lunch, like anywhere from 48 minutes to an hour. Mm-hmm. So 7 to 9 miles.
Right.
On trails or hilly terrain, and then I would have rode my bike to work and rode my bike home, and if I'm up for it, I either do something at night or I usually when I get home, I'm on dad duty until like 8 o'clock or so. So that's why it was nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that worked out good. I mean, how much is your training for the marathon? Is it going to vary from your training for 50 or 100 miles? Does it vary that much, or do you kind of do the same thing regardless of?
Good question.
And it depends. Like some of the races that I get a little bit more specific. Like for Badwater, I did a lot of sauna training, which I'm not I would do that similar day, except I would ride my bike to the gym and then work out in the sauna for 45 minutes and then ride to work.
Now you want to do that track work you were talking about to get ready.
Exactly, and then usually I do try to go to the track once a week, and I think getting ready for Houston, I might be going 2 to 3 times a week, just because I think that's what I'm going to need to try and drop from my PR is 5:16 per mile. That's what I ran the 2:17 or so. So to drop 16 seconds, it's not going to come from running 25 miles at 5:15 pace. Right. It's going to come from running 10 to 12 miles at 5-minute pace or 4:45 pace.
And you've proven to yourself that you can do this in the past. I mean, you've dropped from 2008 qualifying standards have gone from, help me out here, was it
222.
222 down to 219, so you had to shave 3.
Well, there was a A standard and a B standard, so basically they just did away with the B standard, which all it meant was either, if you had an A standard before, they just pay for you to come. B standard means you just get to come, but you don't get paid for. Mm-hmm. So they just got rid of the B standard. For the men, they kept it for the women.
So the Olympics, they pay for you to travel to Houston and then race in the trials?
They help with the airline ticket, and then they give you a room for a certain amount of days, and then it's discounted if you want to stay longer.
Well, speaking of help with your races and everything, we haven't really gotten to your sponsors. I mean, you have a lot of sponsors that help make it easier for you to do the racing.
Yeah, I'm really fortunate. I have a Marathon Guide, which has been a sponsor for a long time, ever since I started coming up. North Face is a big sponsor of mine, who've been great to me and really been supportive. I'm one of their global athletes. So one of 100 people around the world for them, which is really cool, including climbers, alpinists, snowers, skiers. we have one mountain biker, which is cool. I might get to do a race with him in Vancouver, just like Red Bull. Like you run, I run, tag him, he rides.
Red Bull's done everything now.
Yeah, Red Bull does everything. Yeah, yeah. So I'm really blessed that I've been able to hook up with them, and they've got great gear and are really interested in promoting the sport. And then Power Bar, which is a big nutrition. One of my favorite. I use their gels on every race and training, and I like to chew on their bars in the morning and stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, and Marathon Guide, if the viewers don't know, is a great website you can go to basically get information about any marathon that there is out there. Like, they have a calendar from January 1st to December 31st.
Yeah, international also, and then peer reviews, which is cool, so it's unbiased. And yeah, and then, I have local stores like Pacers. It was my first team that I was ever on, so... I still have my old Pacer singlets, and I love going by the store and seeing Chris and all the staff and Kathy, and I mean I've been really blessed to have a lot of people take interest in me, and I can't do it without my work. Also, my coworkers allow me to train, and my clients allow me to go out and do it, and if I'm not out doing my lunch run, they start wondering what's going on, and so I have a lot of buy-in.
So we're going over the Olympic trials. So what else is on the docket for 2012? What are you looking forward to?
Well, yeah, I mean, if everything goes amazingly well, and a lot of I get a lot of things lined up, then it would be amazing to go to London, and I mean, that's a humongous commitment, and I'm sure that'll change a lot of what I have planned. But I mean, if things go the way a lot of people think that they're going to go, and I don't make it, then I've got a lot of races planned anyhow. So I've got some really big races. I qualified with my time at JFK. I was the second finisher there this year, and so that got me into the Western States 100-miler, which is one that I've done before, but I did it a week after the 100K Worlds, so I want to go back there and try and give it a solid effort. I am lucky enough to be able to run the Comrades Ultramarathon again in South Africa.
Is that an invitational event, or?
It's not, but it's an event that is just massive, and it's cool that I'm going to have the chance to go down there. And I finished 26th the first year I went, 11th last year.
Top American?
Yeah, top American both times, and they give gold medals 10 deep, and so I was the first guy not to get so I really want to go back there and try and get a gold medal, and it'd be sweet to be the first guy since Alberto Salazar to try and be in the mix to win it, and I think I have a good shot to do that if I train well.
First American since Alberto Salazar.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
got it. Wow.
And then Two Oceans, which is earlier. It's in April.
In South Africa as well. So
yeah,
2 races.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. There's so many great runners in South Africa. Yeah. I think a lot of people here just don't realize the depth of the quality. That I mean, in ultras here, there's maybe 10 guys or even 15 guys at the North Face race that I just did that have a chance to win. There's like 100, and that all have a chance to win, and so. I like to try and race the best guys, and so to do that, I'm going to the place where they're going to be running, and then I qualified again with my second place finish this year at the 100K Worlds to represent the U.S. at the 100K Worlds next year in Italy, and that's in mid-April. And then
no bad waters.
I haven't decided yet. Yeah, I think I have to decide by February. Western States is in June, and then there's a big race in Chamonix in Europe called UTMB, the Ultra Tour de Mont Blanc, and it's a North Face event, and I put my name in the hat and was lucky enough to be selected to do that.
Now that's a special race from what I understand. I don't know much about it. I've heard you talk about it before. Can you explain why that's such a significant race?
Yeah, it's just turned into this epic event, and I think it's the 10th anniversary of it, and it's considered by most of the world to be like the premier trail race in the world, and it's set in Chamonix in France, and it runs between you circumnavigate Mont Blanc, which is one of the biggest mountains. It might be the biggest mountain in Europe, and it's about 103 miles or something. And it's got tons of vertical, and it's just epically beautiful. If you get a chance, like check out a YouTube about it. But it's you're running on these mountain paths, and then it starts at night, and so you have a headlamp, and you're going up all these mountains, and then you come into these villages like throughout the night. Like you drop down into these little like towns, and like all the townspeople are ringing bells and out there serving you wine and cheese, and it's just like this experience. And I'm talking about, like, I've never heard anyone say anything negative about it. I'm talking like people that have run in like the Olympics, like the World Championships, like they gush about it. So I just want to go see what it's all about, and I want to race those guys that are, some of the best. And yeah, so that's in August.
And you also do a lot of, he's a great down-to-earth guy. He does a lot of local events too. Hopefully some Pacers races.
Yeah, I love doing Pacers.
And he's very accessible. As busy as you are, I see you talking to people afterwards. You also put on your own race. Maybe talk a little about
we did, man.
That 5K that you and your family put on.
Yeah, and thank you for helping with that. Yeah. We put on the Kinhaven 5K this weekend before Thanksgiving. I think it was November 20th this year, the day after JFK.
Yep. He runs JFK and he puts on a road race. I mean, it's insane.
And then I have to win it the next day.
I know.
Yeah,
when you're a race, Michael?
Yeah, he has to.
Yeah, well, we have some prizes. So if I win it, it goes back to the school.
Yeah.
So
Okay, well, that's good. It's even more
so I don't really win.
Right.
It just gets redonated.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we put on a 5K race. This first year we had 130 runners, and this year we had 200 runners.
That's awesome.
And so it's growing each year, and people are really liking it. We get great awards. Pacers gives a lot of gift certificates and allows us to come in and really do a good packet pickup, and we get a bunch of good sponsors, and it's just like a really fun event. And this year we instituted our first kids 1K run, and like it was just the most magic thing. Like the kids were like walking around like they were the hottest,
That's so cool.
And they all got little handmade medals, and we make homemade ribbons, and
Pierce and Grant both ran in that too, right?
Pierce and Grant both ran, and they both finished, which was cool. They definitely did really well, and it's nice to see them getting excited, and just to hear them talking in their lexicon and their jargon about racing, and like, just mixing it up, and it was cool. Yeah.
And you've done some other local stuff with North Face, so people could maybe see you at a North Face run or something like that. Right?
Yeah, I definitely work with North Face. I do local runs. I think I've got something coming up with Georgetown, or Chevy Chase Running Company in January, right before the trials for their Boston program.
That's great.
January 8th. And I'm always around and willing to talk to whoever, and I definitely like being part of the local Washington running community, because I mean that's really what fostered me and allowed me to do these things. And I think this year I did 48 races, and most of them were probably local.
And let's not forget to talk about how he's like dominated the the DC Washington DC National Marathon for what, 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7?
Yeah, I think it's something 5 out of 6, and now it's just changed ownership. So I've never won it. Well, it's rock and roll. So hopefully I'll be able to make that a part of the calendar for next year. And then I was second at Marine Corps this year, which was like a bit of a bummer. And so hopefully I can come back and run well next year at Marine Corps and maybe get that win that's been eluding me for so long.
Right. All right, well, I've decided to make an entry into the JFK 50, so I'm hoping you can come out and challenge me to the JFK 50 miler this year too, if it fits in your calendar. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I was really excited to break the record. I was just
you did awesome. We were watching that online actually. And we saw how fast you were. You broke the record, and then had another guy who was in front of you. It was an amazing race.
Yeah. He caught me right at with 46 miles right on the road, and I really thought I had it. And so he ran a great race. David Riddle, he's one of the guys on my 100K world team, and he really, he ran it right on, and we were both going for it, and you know, he just came out on top. I had a lot of second places
Right.
this fall,
Yeah, well,
which were you know.
This year is that you're going to take the title. So
Yeah.
you're how old are you? 37,
37, yeah.
37. So how long are you
37 years young.
How long are you going to keep doing this?
I hope for as long as I can. I mean,
You're getting faster. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
When you ran that Grandma's Marathon, I got more calls like, what is going on? How did he run 2:17? You know, isn't he?
Isn't he an old man?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
just as long as you can.
yeah. I mean, I think that I want to be out there as, you know, there's so many just amazing guys. There's like this guy Marco Omo from Italy that's, you know, he won Mont Blanc in his 60s, you know, and like those guys just inspire me, and it's just, you know, I don't see any reason that there's any limiting factor on what you can do. I mean, I think the only person that can limit you is yourself, and I think that
Totally agree.
you know, if you train hard, I mean, just because you're older than the 22-year-old, it doesn't mean that they're going to win. I mean, it's.
Like, I just crewed for a guy out in Leadville this past summer who's, you know, 65, 66 years old, was running his 14th Leadville 100-mile trail run. I mean, you can literally do this stuff until you're in your 60s, 70s, or maybe even your 80s now. I mean,
and be competitive. I mean,
age groups, man, they're great.
Yeah, I mean, and it just depends what your goals are, and you know, I'm excited. I was just talking to this guy Uli Stiegel. Do you know him? He's a really fast ultra guy.
Yeah.
And he's just turning 40, and he's so pumped. Like, he's going to be in the Masters.
He changes an age group.
Yeah. So, like,
look out.
I'm excited about being a master now, too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and so it's one of those things where I don't really worry about that as much as I do about doing the work and getting the training in, and you know, there's always someone that's going to say you can't do something. So.
Yeah.
Real quickly, do you see yourself like moving more towards the ultra distances, or just like continue to do like a mixed bag of like all of the distances?
No, I mean, I love trying to do it all. I mean, I think you know, there's no reason to limit yourself to one or the other. I mean, unless you really just love it. And you know, I love, you know, the challenge of running a 5K as much as I do running 135 miles. I mean, I think that
it's all pretty relative.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, you can get the same amount of pain out of a 5K as you can of running for 26 hours or whatever it is.
Well, listen, dude, best of luck to you in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
you know,
thank you very
Houston,
much.
Man, I hope you bring home the top 3, man. That'd be awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, that'll definitely change my year for sure. I mean, I don't know, you know, that would be amazing. And, you know, there's no reason to not try and make it happen.
Yeah.
Chris will be down there cheering you on. I'll be watching you online to see how you do. It's going to be awesome. You know, Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you.
Farley, Merry Christmas to you. Back here next time on Gotta Get Running. Goodbye, everybody.